Black America, have really allowed themselves to be bamboozled by liberalism and CRT and by a group of people that does not and will never and have never cared about the black man in this country. Welcome to or welcome back to my channel. My name is LaShawn and this is Lush Uncut. I'm sure you guys have heard of the tragic story of Austin Metcalf and Carmelo Anthony, but in case you have not, here's a quick news clip reporting on the incident.
Students and staff at Memorial High School in Frisco will remember a student stabbed to death at a track meet.
The victim's father says his son died in the arms of his twin brother. Shannon Murray here with those details. Shannon.
Yeah, Lauren and Brandon, Memorial High School will honor Austin Metcalf during second period today. There will also be counselors to support students and staff throughout the day on campus. Wednesday morning, the 17-year-old was at a District 11 5A track meet at Kuykendall Stadium. Around 10 a.m., police say another student from Frisco Centennial stabbed Austin in the chest after a fight. The family says his twin brother Hunter tried to save Austin's life, but he died in his brother's arms. Wednesday night, their church opened its doors for a private prayer vigil. Austin's father says his son was chosen MVP of the football team and a member of the National Honor Society with a 4.0. He says right now they're relying on their faith.
He had a great life ahead of him. And to be taken away, it's such a tragedy. I mean, I can't even tell you how I feel because I don't know how I feel. I feel numb at the moment.
17-year-old Carmelo Anthony is charged with first-degree murder. Police have not said how he got the knife into the meat or what exactly led up to the fight, but Austin's father says it started over a seating issue in the stands.
Now, there has been a lot of updates in regards to this case, but I think the most jarring one is the online fundraiser that was started for Anthony. The Give Send Go has raised over $200,000 at this point. This is from the New York Post reporting on the fundraiser. The article reads, the Anthony family set up the Help Carmelo official fund, claiming a false and unjust and harmful narrative is being spread about the slaying. The fundraiser money, which is on track to blow past the $200,000 mark, seems to be mostly from small donations of $10 to $50. Good job standing up for yourself, young man, one recent donor commented. Isaiah 54:17. No weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue that rises up against you, God shall condemn, wrote another. Now, I just want to say a couple things before I continue on talking about this story. Number one, and I think this is obvious to all of us at this point, the details of the case all the details, I should say, of this case has not been made public. And I'm sure that we will be getting them in the next coming weeks. As of right now, however, based on the available facts, in my opinion, Anthony is guilty of murder. Again, all of the details have not come out yet, and I'm very much aware of that. I can only go off on what we know so far, and based on what I've seen online, based on all the news reports about the story and the article, it seems as if he is guilty of murder. So that's that. Now, let's move on to what I really want to talk about concerning this case, and that is the reaction from some Black people online. We're going to start with a couple of TikToks that I grabbed from TikTok. So let's just get into it.
Metcalf's murder was not self-defense.
I'd be so disappointed in Black people, man. Like, I don't even be... It's astonishing at this point because I just feel like if you ain't never made a post to advocate for Kendrick Johnson, George Floyd, the twins that were just murdered in Georgia, but you want to get on here and speak on the situation on the opposing side of Carmelo Anthony, not even knowing, nobody knows all the facts. There's 1,000 stories going around. Like, man, y'all are disappointing. That's sad. That's sad. This is not the time for you to speak on injustices of this country. This is not the time. Imagine if we stuck by each other how they stick by each other. Because they going to stick by each other right or wrong at the end of every day. We got to do better, Black people. We got to do better. Innocent until proven guilty, right?
My biggest problem with this whole Carmelo Anthony situation is people are acting like this young man had no reason whatsoever to be carrying some extra form of protection on him. Like, let's stop acting like school and school-related events are just magically the safest places for kids, let alone black kids in this country, bro. Like, we have massive unalivements in schools in this country damn near on a daily basis.
Till somebody prove me wrong, Carmelo Anthony is innocent. Did he poke him up? Yes, he did. Did he do it unprovoked? No, he did not. And here's why I say this. As a black man in America, you have historical reference on what the fuck goes on if you are out of order in the presence of white people. We've been conditioned to know how to act when they're around. The same thing goes for the police. So when police say stupid shit like they're in fear for their lives, one, if you were, you would have chose a better profession. Two, criminals, especially a black man, whether or not they're committing a crime or not, knows to stay far the from law enforcement, because just being black is a crime. Let's be truthful in it. So you're not telling me that Chad, Brad, Sam, and them walked their ass over to that little boy for no reason?
All right, I think that's enough for now, because the more of these I watch, the more upset I get, honestly speaking, and I've been trying to steer myself away from things that are going to upset me. So obviously I have a lot to say in regards to this, and I'm going to repeat what I said earlier, that the facts of this story are still emerging and we don't know exactly what happened, but based on what we have available at the moment, the case is not looking good for Anthony. So let's just jump into the TikToks. Okay, so number one, there clearly is an underlying race war that is being reflected here in regards to this case. And you see this a lot when we have these incidents of a black man killing a white man or a white person killing a black person. Everybody automatically, and this happens mostly on the Democratic side or mostly on the left, they make the entire case about race, even if that, like, sometimes, most of the times, it has nothing to do with race. I want to say like 99.9% of the time, it's just two people in an unfortunate situation. One person is usually the criminal and the other person is a victim. But because of the times that we're living in, people automatically make things about race. That being said, it seems as if these people are justifying, without their knowledge, I think in some of these cases, they are justifying clear-cut intent because of the color of the person that committed the supposed, at this point, crime. In other words, the only reason why these people are defending Anthony is because Anthony is black and Metcalf is white. That is the only reason, because again, we don't know all of the facts surrounding his story. So to automatically jump to the conclusion that no, he was defending himself, it's only because he's black. That's the only reason. And another point I want to make is I find it so like mind-blowingly like frustrating. How is it that black people or a certain portion of the black community in this country only care about black lives, specifically the lives of young black men, when it revolves around a crime involving a white person? The only time they're concerned about the safety and the well-being and, justice for young black men is when it's involved a white man. Outside of that, no one cares. Like at this point, the perspective we're bringing in, the numbers regarding black on black crime in this country is mute, because that does not matter to a lot of people. They do not care. They're like, I know that if a black man is going to be murdered in this country, the chances of it being another black man is way higher than the chances of it being a white man. I know that in my very black neighborhood, sometimes I don't feel unsafe as a black person. I know I am fully aware that I make sure to lock my doors at night and lock my car when I'm at the gas station in certain neighborhoods where everybody, if not most people, are black. Like I know. However, that doesn't concern me. None of that matters. The only time that I'm going to scream about the safety of black people in this country or scream about how much I care about black lives in this country is when it involves a crime and when it involves a crime with a white person. That will never cease to amaze me. there was never going to be a point where I understand that thinking, where that it would never make sense to me. And another thing, a lot of people are saying, oh, we got to wait on the facts. We don't know what happened. And that is true. And like I said, I've repeated this at least, I think, 4 or 5 times now in this video. We do not know the facts. However, the facts have never mattered to us, guys. Like, let's not act like we sit around and say, guys, we don't know what happened. Let's give it, a couple of days, or let's give it a couple of weeks before we voice our opinions, or before we decide that we know exactly what happened, or before we decide who's guilty and who's innocent. That does not happen. So the facts don't matter, okay? The actual full story never, ever matter to these people. All they care about is the race narrative. All they care about is feeding that anti-white racism that is embedded within them. And a lot of people will be like, I'm not racist against white people. What? No. Anyways, I have one more video that I want to play that is very similar to the ones that I played, but I feel like this one does a really good job at summarizing the mentality of a lot of people that think about these incidents in this white versus black narrative. So here we go.
I'm sorry, I'm confused. Carmelo Anthony is at track practice and he gets approached by the Metcalf twins, known bullies, allegedly. They tell him to move from their tent, which is not at their practice. And then the twins said that he began to mouth off, which means that he was, I guess, not listening to them. The fight ensued. Your brother got poked, unalive. He deceased now, unfortunately. And y'all crying. But it was 2-on-1. That's self-defense. It's witnesses that say, like, y'all, this is what y'all do. And now the dad wants to come out. I had a dream. Martin Luther King had a dream too. Anybody, y'all still ain't listening to that? I might not even post this because this is a little too real for y'all. But yeah, is this 2025? So either you decide that they can do whatever they want and feel like they untouchable, unstoppable, and then whenever they get stopped, then they want to arrest a black man, or are we going to try to are we going to save this black man? Because, like, y'all tried to take his life. He survived. Now y'all trying to take his life again? No. Sorry. I ain't with it. Justice for, what's his name? Carmelo Anthony. Yeah. And in no way, shape, or form am I diminishing or downsizing the fact that y'all lost somebody. But play stupid games. It was really 2 of y'all, and now y'all on the news because it was 2 of y'all.
He says at the end that in no way, shape, or form is he trying to diminish the fact that Metcalf's family lost a child, that a twin lost his twin brother and watched him pass while he was holding him. Like, he's like, I'm not trying to diminish that. While diminishing that, he got poked, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. How are you not diminishing that? And what really blows my mind is the cavalier attitude in regards to the life of both the victim and Carmelo Anthony. Because at the end of the day, this is a young black man that just did something astronomically regrettable. Right? And you have to think about him as a person as well, because yes, obviously I'm not defending him, but this is a young man. You have to question what led him to that point of bringing that knife to that track meet, and what led him to the point of reacting to whatever disagreement he may have had with the twins in that way. That is concerning. That is actually scary, that you have young men and a lot of young black men in this country that are so violent, and the black community are like, you know what, let's not even think about that. Let's not think, y'all not gonna put him in jail. That's it. That's as far as the discussion goes. Beyond that, beyond the life of this boy, beyond his life outside of this incident, there's no concern. And there's no concern for other young black men that might end up in the same situation in the future. We love talking about having hard conversations and uncomfortable conversation. Why can't we, for once, actually address the problem of violence among young black men in this country? And again, his disregard for the life of Austin Metcalf, complete disregard. Like he does not care. That man does not care about the fact that that young man died. He doesn't care. It does not matter to him. There's no respect, no concern, no, like nothing. It's just he got poked and he played a stupid game, so he won a stupid prize. Final thoughts here. And I say this with as much respect for African Americans as I can possibly have. As a Black immigrant to this country, I owe a debt to Black Americans, okay? Because it was their ancestors that fought for freedom. It was their ancestors that were, able to overcome despite discrimination, despite so much obstacles, okay? It was their ancestors that provided, I'm not gonna deny that, me the opportunity as a Black person to be in this country and gain from the opportunity of the American dream. They definitely played a part in that. So I say what I'm about to say with so much respect for Black America, okay, and the history of Black America in this country. However, Black America have really allowed themselves to be bamboozled by liberalism and CRT, and by a group of people that does not and will never and have never cared about the Black man in this country. The Democratic Party and the liberals that are feeding you this anti-white, this racist perspective does not and will never and have never cared about the plight of Black America in this country. They see the Black community as a pawn in the larger game of destroying this country. And for whatever reason, Black America has allowed themselves, despite what they have been able to overcome in this country, to be fooled into being nothing but pawns for these people. I don't understand it. They will continuously tell you that the white man is your enemy, while the chances of you being offed by a white man is significantly less than the chances of you being offed by a Black man. And I'm not saying that the Black man is your enemy. What I'm saying is they will continue to keep your attention on racism, the racist white man that's out to kill every Black person in this country, and how they feel about us and how they look at us and how we are supposed to operate when they are around. They will play that message over and over and over in your head while you completely ignore the problems in your community and completely ignore the opportunities that you have to be successful in this country. The victim mentality is an absolute cancer in Black America. I don't need to expand on that. I think that's a conversation that's been haven't had in conservative lands for like decades at this point. You are not a victim. Okay? It's crazy because if your ancestor has seen themselves in the way you see yourself, then they would have never accomplished what they were able to accomplish in this country. Despite suffering way more oppression than you did, they didn't see themselves as victim. They still overcame. They kept their families together. They cared about their community. They had class. They cared about education. The young men mattered to them. I don't think there's anything else I have to say. And I think this story, again, despite the fact that we don't know all the details. We don't know the full story. We don't know. There's still so much for us to know. But I think the larger concern and my larger points still stand. This anti-white, this white versus Black narrative that has captured much of Black America is a serious problem.